So somebody asked me on a previous video maybe to explain our rhythm, our weekly rhythm, because I said we do school on Sunday. So RC, so Dr. Robinson, he's the one that created the Robinson curriculum. He recommends school 6 days a week. So he would be doing reading, writing, arithmetic, like 3 subjects. But I think what a lot of people do is they cover, like science and like social studies or history through the reading component. I do a little different. I call this RC Plus because I just do my own thing for science and history kind of right now. His reasoning for 6 days a week made sense. He doesn't think that it's just hard to go from like 2 days back to back of doing, being off, especially to get back on track with your math, which I always felt like that was true. I mean, back when I was, in school, it did seem like it took me to like about half the week for my brain to get like fully turned back on. And then, so I was only working at full capacity for about 2 or 3 days, and I had another 2 days off. So, I mean, yeah, I agree with that. So I do try to make Sunday a light day. So you'll see when I'm planning that I am usually just doing like the vocab test, the spelling test, turning in any writing assignments that are due. I try to do things kind of like on a weekly rhythm. Like we have a weekly rhythm with our vocab packets are a week long, our spelling packets are a week long. If Everett finishes a book and he does his summary for me and I give him feedback and stuff, I try to get that all wrapped up by the end of the week before we usually don't start another book until like the following week. And it just is easier for me to plan that way. I will say though that the science that I do it's a lower priority than the reading, writing, and arithmetic. So like if we don't get to it that week, it is not a big deal, right? Like we can just get to it the next week, or sometimes I have a nice wrap-up day on Sunday. Like we'll do our math and our reading. I might do a shorter math day, and then writing, and then we sometimes just binge history, right? Like there's just weeks sometimes just get away from you, and you might just do 2 or 3 history lessons in one day. And that's why I pick resources that they love, so that is something that they actually look forward to. They actually look forward to doing their history. We use The Good and the Beautiful. And I don't know about their like new courses they came out with, because we're still doing the first year, because I like alternate between history and science. We go back and forth, so it takes us longer. I do a unit of history, a unit of science, a unit of history, a unit of science, because I just found it was too much to try to do history and science at the same time. For sure, too much. Okay, so here's something else. Math is something right now that takes me a little more thought. Okay, so William, his Ray's Arithmetic he's in book 2, multiplication. And like he knows some of his multiplication facts pretty well. We did work on some of it last year. Yeah, it goes, it started doing something wonky on me. I just wasn't a fan of how it progressed, and then it like jumps back into subtraction. And these are all reviews, so we're almost to the end, I guess. I can learn multiplication by 3, by 2, I believe, because it also like goes by, it's just going 1 through 4, Anyway, so I'm still doing this, but I'm kind of jumping around to go in sequence with this. So this is my math multiplication and division worksheets. I kind of put them into like a workbook and bound it, that I made when Everett came home from public school and still did not know his math facts, and I just couldn't quite find a program that wasn't like too much, anyways. And I wanted something printable so I could like reprint things. Like if he really bombs this, I want to be able to have it again, reprint it again, and if you just have like a consumable workbook, you can't do that. So I'm gonna have just William go through the multiplication and division workbooks that I made, and then, you know, when we come to whatever, if we start a new number, like if we, you know, 5s or 4s, you know, I would go to wherever it was in this book. But this is just going like 1 through 10 or whatever, and this is going in a different order, which I prefer. So and then I also bought these math games, like these no prep math games from Teacher Pay Teachers, and I just divided them up, like all the games for 2s and all the games for, you know, 7s or whatever. And I just here's, you know, all the games for 5s. So when he's working on his 5s, he has these games that he can use. And what you do with these is you just take them out. Here's one that we did for the 2s. And it says spaceship multiplied by 2. You get 2 players. You roll a dice. So you know, you roll a 2 and a 3. You add those together. That's 5, and then you multiply it by 2, and it's 10. And then you would fill in your 10, like so. And then the next person rolls, you know, a 4 and a 4, and so that's 8, and then they multiply by 2, and that's 16. Right? And what you're trying to do is you're trying to get, I think, is it 4 in a row? The first player to color 4 in a row is the winner. It can be horizontal, vertical, or diagonal. And I like these little pockets because they can play over and over, they can play multiple games, and I can save it for the next kid, and then like when he gets to the next number or the next game, he can just slide it in over the top, and we can just keep going, and we can be taking them out of here so there's not as much stuff as we go, and he really looks forward to these. So that is what I'm gonna plan for today. Is it's actually all already organized. I already put all the games in with the section they go with. So what I'm gonna have him do for math, and how I write it in my lesson planner, see, it takes longer to explain it than just to say it, is I'm just gonna say math multiplication and division workbook, and game, and FC stands for flashcard. And I'm just going to do that, and he can just keep working as he goes, because I don't know where he's gonna quite end up, because if he isn't, you know, some of them, they take longer to master. He only has to do like 1 worksheet, like 1 or 2, it kind of depends on how fast he does it. And then workbook, game, flashcards. And he's been enjoying this rhythm, and so whenever it doesn't feel like work to them, they, you know, it improves their attitude. The day just goes so much smoother. Not that everything has to be like fun, but you know, just a dash of fun. Okay, so for reading, we are still doing the rotation. So we're still doing McGuffey revised, and we're still using my bookmarks, the comprehension check-in. I did like make some notes about S endings. So, you know, possessive S, plural S, and contraction S. And then we ran into another one. We're going into ma'am, and we talked about replacement, you know, or shortening a word when you drop a letter and you put an apostrophe. So I made a little note there. And I have it on my to-do list to do more bookmarks so that they can like progress in skill, like with the books that they're reading, like the McGuffey readers at least. So that will be coming. Subscribe, like and subscribe if you want that. Or leave me, say, bookmarks in the comments so I know if people are really interested in it or if I'm just doing it for myself. So if I'm doing it for myself, that's fine too. And then McGuffey, the original, we're still doing that. And then we're still doing the grammar check-ins with that one. So We're finding common noun, proper nouns, verbs, adverbs. This is playing in really well with his sentences unit that he's doing. So then we do an oral grammar check-in, and he's reading these books to me. And then we are still, I think we're still on Betsy Butterfly, but we're almost done with reading Betsy Butterfly. That is an Arthur Scott Baily book, if you haven't watched my videos before. Yeah, so we're still doing this one. I just printed these out myself. So I thought he did read A Terrible Blunder. He read The Friendly Stranger. Oh, it's got put in the wrong spot. So he's on to chapter 14, A Deep Plot. And these are his chapter notes, his comic summary chapter notes. Oh yeah, he already did the other ones. So I think I have a whole video on that called our favorite writing assignment. If you're interested, I'll link that down below. But we're still reading Betsy Butterfly. And then we do an oral summary. I have him just summarize for me. He does the summary comics. And as he's doing those, I just have him, talk to me. The McGuffey Eclectic reader is married to the revised is married to the matching Copywork, the print Copywork he's doing right now. There is cursive as well for this. This is just what we've been doing. And he is on to, he's with 6 lines. We started him with 2 lines last year with the primer, and then he got up to 4 lines in the first reader, and now he's up to 6 lines a day, or when he does this assignment, in the second reader. And if it gets too messy, I make him go back in. He has to trace, but before he writes it on his own. This day was kind of pushing it. Like some days, see, this day I made him go back and do some copying. So I just write Copywork 6 lines, and then he does, I'll show you that when I get to it. On the days that he reads the McGuffey original, he's going to do the grammar check-in with me as part of that reading lesson, and then he's going to work in his write a sentence. And so I'm just going to open it up to where we are this week. So we are on week 5. So I only do this twice a week, so we've got to cover a week's worth in 2 days. But it's totally doable. So this week's goals are to write the date and learning verb tenses, past, present, and future. So that's good for him to know. Talking about months begin with a capital letter. The date is written month, day, year, which he does see me do on the chalkboard every morning. So day 1, review the calendar chart. Go to the calendar and review how to find today's date. Practice writing it on the board. Okay, you can do that. So like here's October 2018, but I'd have them probably look at our calendar and write the real date for us. And then review writing the date and have students copy. Good. They have a calendar, they have resources in the back, like for reference, and I made these little just out of sticky notes, but it's probably what they're talking about when they say calendar chart. When we write dates, we use this format: month, date, year. And then here's an example: October 21st, 2019. We can add the day of the week before the month. So you'd write, Tuesday, October 21st, 2019. Again, he's seen me write this on the board like every day, so that won't be a shock. We can abbreviate the date, month, date, yeah. And I have him write that on his papers already, so he's seen that before too. So it's nice when they come across something they know, so that they are they get to use what they know, you know what I mean? And it feels good to them. Okay, so months begin with a capital letter. So we are going to do pages, start on page 21, 22, 23 maybe, and then 24, 25. Yeah. So that's what I'm gonna write. So he's gonna do 21 through 23. And then for Betsy Butterfly, when he does that reading and he gives me the oral summary, he just works on his summary comic, which I showed you. Okay, so then we just repeat it. We go back to the beginning. So then we go back to McGuffey Revised, do our comp check, and then Copywork, 6 lines, and then we do McGuffey Original with the grammar check-in, and then we do sentences, and we're gonna finish that off. So then it went to 23 and 24. I always mark where we are so it's easy to turn to. So then page 23 to 24, and then Betsy Butterfly, we should have another chapter. We usually just do 1 chapter with these Arthur Scott Baileys. An oral summary. And I will say that the reading is, it's a reach for him. But I'm there to answer questions and to be helpful. And I try to make him work for it a little bit. Don't just automatically give him the word. So he doesn't get frustrated though, because it's frustrating if you just don't know a word. You just don't know what's going on, and you're only a 7-year-old, you know. I don't want him to be frustrated by it. I would say the McGuffey readers, he is tracking really well on, and he, you know, I have him reread the same one multiple times. So how to add, he's already read this one several times, and it's, you know, I like how they give them things in different, like they give them poems, they give them different narrations. This is like dialogue. It's like John, so you know, it's John speaking, so we get to talk about what that means. You know, these are italics, right? Italics. So you just like introduce things as you come across them in the book. Would be my suggestion when you use these. And yeah, and then we like review these words at the end again. So yeah, he's already read this one multiple times, and somebody asked me once, like, how do you, like, basically, like, what's your rubric for when are they mastered? And I would just say, like, when they can read it smoothly, without any mistakes. And if I can like point to those words out of context at the end there, and in the revised, the words are in the beginning. So I might go back to the beginning. Just read this one a few times too. Then when they read them out of context as well as, and everything is smooth and there's no mistakes, I consider that mastered. And that's why I wanted the print Copywork that I made, or the cursive, whichever one you use. I wanted them to be the full lessons, because I knew that he wasn't going to just master it the first time he worked on it, and I didn't want to have to keep reprinting it just the same lines over and over. There was another resource I used at the beginning, but it was just so small. It was like just 1 or 2 lines from an entire reading, and yeah, I wanted him to be able to just keep writing just the whole lesson if need be, the whole story, the whole reading, if that makes sense. So, but you know, once it's mastered, if it's really good, I don't make him, he doesn't have to write them all, but you could, like if you thought your kid needed more handwriting practice. He was trying his own, I think he was trying his own font here, which was funny. Sometimes when we like go through things, I used to do this a lot when we first started doing his writing, but now we don't do it as much. But I used to go through and put a little star next to literally every single thing that was good, you know? And then I might have some feedback like, oh, you need to move this back a little, that was too big of a space. But they overwhelmingly saw positive feedback. Yeah. Anyways, he's doing Copywork. I don't know, we never did it with my first son. He was in public school, and my second son is so much more, he's trying to write on his own and do all types of things even outside of school. And I really think Copywork has just built a lot of confidence in him and a desire to write, and he's gotten a lot of positive feedback from me, whereas I do not think my son got any of that at public school. So I just feel like it's really easy to implement, in my opinion. So I just think Copywork is a fantastic resource, and I'll link that one down below in case you guys are interested. Okay, so next is science. So social studies, we're taking a break, right? Because we're doing science right now and it's just too much to do both. So for him, oh wait, I forgot to put in his spelling. So spelling is considered writing. He's gonna do his spelling test today, actually. This is our game we use. It's been so helpful. It's because he's on lesson 8 right now. This is how I set up the inside of his spelling folder. I have his spelling packet here, and then I just pre-print these. I have a whole bunch of them. Definitely. So he works just does a page a day, and then he's got his word list, and then we just highlight the ones that we've already gone over. And when we talk about it the first day, on Monday, we go over the new list. We'll talk about what do we see here? Oh, we see, this time we saw 3 vowel sounds. We saw the ah, ah, and oo, vowel sounds here. And I try to give him the diacritical marks because he sees those in the McGuffey readers as well. And you see them in dictionaries and stuff when you look things up. So, sometimes there's rules like silent E's or vowel teams or the floss rules, right? Or these were all 1-syllable words. We try to see what patterns we see in the group because that'll help us. So I just need to switch out his, I think I already had an extra one in there for some reason. But I'll switch out his cards for his new cards. And I have these, the rules, syllable division patterns, syllable types, and how to divide patterns, and then just other spelling patterns. I just cast a net out and just put everything I could find, soft G, sounds from GE, GI, GY. Then I came across recently, and we've been using that, and that's been working really well, especially when we use it in conjunction with our spelling word hangman. So we'll do this once or twice a week, and if we don't do all the words, but just a sampling of them. On to science. Okay, so he is also going to be doing anatomy because that's science is one of our family subjects, but I had to kind of level it to his level. So I wasn't sure what to get because I was ordering off of Amazon, so I couldn't quite look through everything. So there was these 2 books, Human Body Activity Book and Human Anatomy for kids. So the Human Body Activity Book, I think I'm just gonna keep it. I think I'm gonna hold on to it for Bo. I do like it, but I think it is more of a kindergarten to 1st grade maybe level. And I think it's cute. They have a kid's body, but they have little activities in here that are cool. And I might look through it and just throw some of the activities to the kids. They have these little things that say, try this at home, build a cell out of food, toys, or craft supplies. That's a good idea. So I don't want to have any elaborate activities, honest to God. So I might just keep this and throw a couple of these out to the kids as they go through. But I think I'll just hold on to it to have for Bo here in a couple of years, and because you can actually write in this book. So I do like it. But what I'm going to use for William this year for his spine is the Human Anatomy for Kids. And again, I just went to the table of contents. So when this is another reason I like to do these on the same page, but you could do 2. But Everett's book gave him 8 weeks, 8 lessons, 1 lesson a week. And this one was 7. So I scheduled in a puzzle day for lesson 3. So I did have this Dr. Livingston. It's a 100-piece puzzle. And so when they put it together, it'll be 4 feet tall. but it'll have, like, look at that. They'll put that together, and it'll have the organs and veins and muscles and bones. So I thought that's cool for them to do, and then we can kind of like leave it, you know, on the floor somewhere in here for a while, and they can use it if they want. I'm sure it'll bug me, and I'll eventually just put it away. But so because I wanted them to be doing this for about the same amount of time. So I just went through. The topic of the week is going to be the chapter topic, and they do follow kind of similar. They're very similar with all the books. The human body, right, is where it's starting. So what is a body? And I'm just going to sit there and read this to him, you know, and then I did look up a few like media type stuff. So some YouTube channels for him would be Peekaboo Kids. So this would be, you know, this is more for Will, this is more for Everett. Okay, this is definitely more for Everett. Smile and Learn was a channel I found, that's more for Will. And these channels, YouTube channels, all had anatomy or biology educational videos. And then there was also the Magic School Bus. I know they have an Inside the Human Body episode, the Magic School Bus. So I'm gonna try to find that. I don't have any Magic School Bus books, but yeah, as far as like a visual, that would be a good thing to do. And then for reference books, I'm just gonna take them to the library. We're gonna schedule a library trip, probably on whatever day. I don't think I wrote that down. Whatever day we had open. So we're doing anatomy for these days. We'll do it the last thing. We're gonna do the last thing that day, so that works out well. If we get to it, we'll see. See how the week goes. Okay, so then for William, I'll use this for his planning as well. Yeah, so his first unit was the human, so human anatomy. And then this first week, we're focusing on the human body is the name of the chapter. It's a little redundant, but that's okay. We said this was going to be the library trip day. And then we said these days. And I'm just going to have them, I think, I'm not making like specific activities for them like I do with their other subjects, just because these are more relaxed right now, and I'm kind of seeing, I might get a little more specified as they go. But, so William, he'll have this, I'm gonna like read this to him. And then the other resources I got for him are the My First Human Body book. So it's another Dover coloring book, like Everett's, but it's a lot, you know, it's simpler. But again, it has a ton of good information. And this one, it doesn't tell them like what colors to color stuff. They can just do whatever they want. It says the elbow joint bends like a door hinge, which is cool. Like we could go over to a door and look at the hinge, you know. A ball and socket joint lets you move your legs and arms in circles. The longest, largest bone is your thigh bone. So it's giving a lot of facts, which he will love. Muscle power, muscles inside. So we'll I think this is what we'll do is we'll read, you know, we'll read together a chapter, and you know, they're not that long. This one says what is a body, and then, you know, about cells. So we'll just try to look up tissues, what are organs. It covers like a lot. Look at all these systems it goes over. This is a table, and this is also good. I think it's good for them to start learning how to read tables. And these are columns, these are rows. I mean, how to organize information is helpful. Knowing how to read it and how to like reproduce it. So yeah, I might have him in his notebook, because I got him his own composition notebook too. And had to make sure they had to look different so that I didn't get them confused. I got him the more colorful one. If something that we're reading, we'll try to find some corresponding coloring thing in here. I made all of these because it didn't have like a table of contents that told you what to quickly turn to. So like, yeah, if we're talking about breathing, you know, we can maybe color this page or look at this page, right? So this has so many good fun facts. Large intestine. So he has these things, and I'll probably do something. We could do something like, you know, this could be, you know, read, library trip. This could be a coloring page, right? This could be notebooking day. And like the last day of the week, I like to do the student teacher, where he teaches me what he learned this week, right? By looking back at his notebook and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't care if he cuts this up. Like if he colors something, if he wants to like cut out the stomach, cut out the pancreas, to color them and, you know, glue them in and make a little note or label, that's fine with me. As long as he's working and happy with what he's, you know, working on, and that he can tell me something at the end of the week. We'll see how it goes. Okay, and then some fun stuff that I have for them, besides the big puzzle, is I did get the operation game. So, I mean, if there's a week that goes by really fast, they can play this, or they can play this if they're all done for the day. It'd be fun to play Operation at the end of the day, or the end of the week or something like that. And we also I had these models already for Everett from like years ago. He wanted them, and we got them for him, and he did put them all together, but now they're all apart again. But I dug them out, and look at this guy. Where's his mandible? So we'll see if we can put those together again. And then they came with these little assembly guides. So this is helpful too. And I'll link something down below. I know I bought this stuff all on Amazon. But there's lots of different options and price ranges for hands-on stuff like this. And then of course his activities are just the same. I worked so hard to have them have the same schedule. We were just talking about it the other day, how when they started Taekwondo, Everett's so much older than William, but I did not want to go, to have to drive to two separate Taekwondo classes, on the same day especially. And so we asked the master, I was asked her if we could bring Everett to that same class as Everett's beginner class, even though he was so much smaller. He was so much smaller than everybody. And she was like, well, he probably will have to go to the younger class, but we can try, We're like, okay. And I remember my mom, saying that she just felt like a chauffeur. Oh no, I accidentally switched colors. Oh no, my perfect planning. Oh well. But he did so well that first class. I did hear her say to him, maybe the very first class, the first time we went, I can't remember what it was, but she said something like, you better stop that because that's what the little kids do, and or the babies do or something, and your mom wants you to go to the big kid class, but if you're doing that, you'll have to go to the baby class or something. And he just he straightened up so quick. It was so funny. And the next time he went, she told my husband, because he was picking it up, she's like, oh, he's good. He's definitely in the right place. He does not have to go to the younger class. And he's been just keeping up, and he is we're so proud of him. He loves it. He really takes to it. Anyways. Okay, so those two are planned. And it always takes me longer whenever I start something new. I have to think it through, and it helps me to write it out. I have something, sometimes I do this. I did it this summer when I was planning for the overview of this year. Something called capacity cakes. Maybe I'll make a video on that too, because that really helped center me and like what I actually had the capacity to do, you know, maybe what my kids actually had the capacity to do. I think it's better to start out doing less. Like, it's better to start doing your 3 R's and get really comfortable with that, and then add on things, extra things like unit studies. And especially if you're new to it, instead of trying to do it all at once, because like planning this kind of stuff does take mental energy. So we'll see how this goes. I hope that helped. Let me know if you like unit studies. Like, do you just plan them out yourself like this, or do you buy unit studies? Like, I saw some ones on Etsy and stuff. But it looked like you still would have to get maybe books to go with them. But now I feel good about it. I think this is going to be good. And sometimes you just have to go through that hard process first before, you know, and then it gets easier as you go. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Sometimes I felt that way about lesson planning. Like, I learned through trial and error how I like to do it and what made the most sense and what was the easiest for me. And I think it's going to be the same with this route for unit studies. Okay, well, everybody have a great week. I'll talk to you later.